Well, how we doing? It's Thursday afternoon out here on the front porch listening to birds chirp and people mowing the yards. All that good fun-filled stuff. I would be mowing my yard. Well, I was attempting to mow my yard yesterday. And it's like it comes in twos and threes every time. But I was sitting there, everything was somewhat going okay. I broke a spindle on the deck. Well, actually, I didn't break a spindle. It actually just went out, just quit working. And but the other one's working, so I was like, you know what? Instead of having two blades, I got one that's working. I'll go ahead and somewhat try to keep mowing grass. Yeah, well, that didn't work out very well either because, well, I started smelling that burning rubber kind of smell, kind of like when something gets kind of hot, especially when it has pulleys and everything else on it. And it kicked my main deck belt off. And I was like, you know what? 2 signs in less than 20 minutes, that's all I need to see. So, it'll be sometime this week. I'm gonna order a spindle off Amazon. I've already typed in my model number and everything, so I'll get the spindle sometime either this week or this weekend or next week. Hell, who knows? It's whenever it gets there, it gets there. And I'll probably ask my neighbor across the street if he put my spindle on for me. He's kind of like a jack of all trades. And of course he jokes and says a master or none, but he knows a lot of different things that, you know, most people don't even know. So I'm gonna ask him. Too big of a piece of ice to try to suck on and talk at the same time. Man, my onions are doing great. My potatoes are doing, well, I'm assuming they're doing great. I got big old cluster heads sticking up out of the ground, anything between a foot to foot and a half tall. So potatoes are doing great. Onions are doing great. Probably about 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, somewhere around there, I sprinkled out, I think it's beets. What is it, turnips? Turnips. No, beets. Hell, I don't know. It's one of the rooty type vegetables. Excuse me. I sprinkled them out there in one of the garden boxes in between the onions and potatoes. And I got these little sprouts coming up all over the place, which I'm tickled pink. The other day, in one of my flower pots up here on the porch, I didn't even plant them. I just sprinkled the seeds on top of the soil and I lightly covered it somewhat. They're a bunch of hot pepper plants. I'm just gonna see how it turns out. You know, if they grow and I get something this summer, great, so be it. And if not, you know, it is what it is. I don't care. And I did plant the beans. I got them somewhat germinated, showing good sproutages. I got them in the bed over here in the backside yard. Mr. Frog's over there having a grand old time in my dirty ass pool. I got news for him this year. That pool is going to get cleaned out, scrubbed out, sprayed out, and it's going to get filled with tons of chemicals and chlorine. So Mr. Froggy's getting a bad state of affairs this year. But I shown Adam what I wanted him to do with his tiller across here by the front of the porch and get this little slope out of there. So he knows what I'm wanting done. It's just the time of getting here, getting it done, so I can slide it up. That's the only time frame, because I think he's going to have one of his kids do it for him. I'm not for sure. I think. I don't know. We're still working on our bathroom. It's about 85% gutted. There's a few things still left to do in there. But I'm not in no super big hurry, because until we get other things to replace what we taken out, I'm not going to stress over the small things. I'm just not going to worry about it. And Mr. Froggy has something to say, but every time I say something towards him, he shuts up. So could be a tree frog too. We got a lot of tree frogs around here. I'd say next week I'm gonna go and get some anchor boats and some joist hangers and a bunch of other things, and I'm gonna see if my buddy Craig could come over here and help me get started on doing some of the roof framing of it, so to say. I could have deal with him in a barter trade, so but once all that, most of that gets finished and fixed up and everything else, then we'll worry about doing, because I told him it's going to be in segments. I'm not trying to get everything done at one time. It's going to be, we got this part, then we got to do the next part, and then after that we'll do something else, and then something else, and something else, until it's, until it's done. I mean, I'm not no big super ass hurry to get everything knocked out. I'm wanting to enjoy some step-by-step process time. Let's see. My elderberry, my great big ass elderberry plant, half of it's died off. I think this past winter, well, December, when we had that huge ass Arctic blast come down my neck of the woods. I mean, it did a number on a lot of things. But I got new growth coming out in different spots. I got some new growth coming up out of the ground. So I'm tickled pink. I'm not hurting, so to say. But as much as I have gotten from the plant over the past 2 or 3 years, I cannot complain. Everything's not going to be super full-blown harvest time, gathering up all kinds of stuff. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. But, it is what it is. It's muggy out here. It's not very hot. It's like 70, maybe like 75, 78, somewhere around there. But with the muggies in the air, hell, it feels like it's probably about 80, 81, something like that. It's really sticky out here today. And speaking of today, I went to Rural King to grab some compost and manure bags, and they didn't have a single one. So I settled for second best, and I got some topsoil bags, which I don't like using topsoil. I mean, it'll work, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted compost and manure. And I asked one of the guys, and he goes, well, you might want to check back in about a week-ish. We should have some more then. And yeah, I hope they do, because I love their compost manure. Because it comes from Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Can't get any more southern than that. Well, you probably can, but not for me anyway. I've only been there twice my whole life, and both times I was driving through with the blink of an eye. That was about it. It's a really small place. Ain't much to it. Mainly just farming area. Very, last time I was there 25 years ago, it was like a hole in the wall. Blink and you're through it. Of course, nowadays it could be more populated and built up some. I don't see it, but it could be. I really don't know. My glass has a hole in it. Kind of disheartening. But the cold water does taste good though. It is what it is. sitting here taking a drink a second ago, looking at my tulip poplar, all kinds of little flowers popping up on that thing. My goats love them flowers. I wish they'd fall off the tree so I can go out there and pick them up and feed my goats to them. They love them flowers. They gobble them up like crazy. But as of right now, my mulberry tree above me, which I have my canopy here, protecting me from bird poopies. And of course, as time goes on, with my mulberries on my tree, I got a bunch of pinkish red ones. I'm assuming my first batch will be ready probably about my birthday, give or take. If it's not at my birthday, it'll be around about my birthday, within a few days after. But it's looking pretty good. There's not as many as there was last year, but there's a good amount. There really is. And it's funny because my great big ass tall peach tree, where I seen that one blossom on the tree, there's a peach probably the size of a nickel. A single peach up there on top of that tree, and that's it. That's the only peach on the whole damn tree. And of course, I looked up online the issues with peach trees in my area and stuff like that, and one of the things I typed in is what would be the cause of it not to flower. And basically what the computer told me was, which is crazy, either it wasn't cold enough or we didn't receive enough cold hours for it to bloom. I'm gonna tell you right now, in December, it was so damn cold that you could probably take a piss off my front porch, and before the piss touched the ground, it was a solid frozen stream. It was that damn cold. And it was cold for a long time. It wasn't like, you know, just a couple of days. I mean, we had like weeks of it that were like severe. And of course, January and February, well, January was kind of spot hit and miss. February was like summertime almost, which that should have been really cold that time of year, but it wasn't. It was very mild. So that could be part of the reason why my tree had failed to shoot flowers, just like my other peach tree on the end of the porch. Wouldn't damn bloom on that thing either. Of course, I got all the stuff I needed to take care of them bugs, to spray on the flowers and everything else, to keep them little pecksy assholes from boring in my peaches. I get the stuff, and I sprayed the tree a couple times, and, you know, permission, you know, waiting for the flowers to come out, and yeah, one single flower, and that's it. But it is what it is, you know. And here's the thing, if that peach up there on top of the tree, if it has a bug hole in it, that's fine. I'll just pick it off the tree, and I'll take the single peach and I'll toss it over there in the goat pen, and I'll watch them fight over who gets to eat the peach. It is what it is. But I got my blueberries over here, man. I got little bloom flowers going crazy on them. I got some over here in my other blueberries. They're like a later in the year blueberry though. Like I said, my mulberry tree, man, they're popping like crazy. Some of my early blackberries are starting to pop a little bit. Of course, I got some that do midsummer, and I got some to do late summer. My black raspberries, which are like, well, over this shoulder here, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's a little cluster of it about where my finger is. I ain't got my glasses on, blind as hell, but it's back here behind me regardless. And they got a bunch of flower blossoms on them, which would be good. Cause I just picked the black raspberries and mixed them with blackberries. Hell, you can't tell a damn difference. They taste about the same. And if you look at them, you know, there's a size difference, but I mean, if you look at them side by side, you can't tell any damn difference. So it is what it is. But sometime, I was getting this hard on it today, but it's starting to sprinkle a little bit here, a little bit there. And once it starts sprinkling, I don't want to be out of here and be like, oh look, it's gonna piss pour rain in the next few seconds, and get all wet and everything else. I'll just do it tomorrow. I gotta fill up another long bed out here and start filling up the big bed. And after I do that, then I'll be ready to get some plants this weekend. I was up at Roll King, and their stuff, I mean, they don't have a good selection this year like they've had in the past. It's kind of like hit and miss, and kind of on some of the plants. And I'm just like, if I'm gonna spend that kind of money on a plant, I want a plant. I don't want like a little sprig or something. Chances of it dying more quickly than it is growing. I'm good. But Freedom Farms down in Glendale, right down the road from me a ways, they come up to the market and they have all kinds of plants. I mean, like tons of tomato plants and gourds and squash and melons and you name it, they grow all kinds of crap. And I don't want to call it crap, but stuff. So I get some plants from them since I've known about them, and they come up to market. Last year I got it was like 60 tomato plants, something like that, give or take. And then there's another person, the people that ran the market, they had a bunch of them that the people just weren't buying. Well, mainly because the prices were set too high. And they were like, that gave me like 2 or 3 trays of peppers and tomatoes. And I came home and I planted every one of them. I was tickled pink. But yeah, I mean, that's like Freedom Farm comes this weekend. I'm gonna get a bunch of cherry tomatoes. I'm gonna get a bunch of probably some Romas, and a few big boys or big steak or however you want to call them. And I already got places for them set already. Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot more tomato-ish this year. Put different areas for growth-wise, I guess you would say. All my hot peppers are going to be in the front yard, and all my mild peppers are going to be up here by the porch area, separated enough to where they're not going to become hot. I mean, they could, but shouldn't. And yeah, I'm a tickle pink. So other than that, it's pretty much it. I'm just taking day by day, problem by problem, setback by setback, and it's kind of like it is what it is. Now, probably about June, I'll have to look online in my area in Kentucky to find out exactly when bullfrogging is, good and legal and legit. Because way over, about where my finger's pointing at, that way yonder, there was a asphalt company directly behind me, across the roadway, across the next lot, into the next section. For me, back to where Scotty's yard is probably, 600 to 800 feet, give or take. And when they were actually using that yard for operations, they had a lot of water issues. They cut a great big water runoff in the front of their property by the main roadway. And there's a shit ton of cattails in there. It holds water like crazy. Probably where a lot of the mosquitoes come from as well. But there's a ton, I mean a ton of bullfrogs in there. And yeah, we're gonna go frog gigging over there in that marshy part of the area. Get my snake boots on real good and grab some gigs and a 22 and a spotlight and a net. And we're gonna go frog gigging. because frog legs taste just like chicken. They're so good. I know some of y'all are probably going, ew, you eat your old nasty old slimy frog. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things that I've eaten that a lot of people would even look at unless you're starving. I didn't get fat a long time ago because I was picky. I got fat because you put something in front of me and I ate it. I ate more junk than I ate anything else, but it is what it is. But mentioned a buddy of mine, Puckett. I said, man, if you want to go frog gigging here soon, let me know. I got the perfect place. I took the trash out to this trash can right here over my right shoulder last night, about 11:30 at night, and I was on my sidewalk that runs down across this way, and I was somewhere amongst that sidewalk and them water ponds over there. I had to guess, probably about the same distance, 600-800 feet away. Of course, it's quiet, you know, hardly no traffic, nice and quiet. You just heard bark, bark, bark. I mean, it was almost like it was sitting like right next to me on the sidewalk. It was that loud. So, yeah, we're gonna have some good frog hunting here soon. And the best thing about this is chances are it's gonna be on a weekend, and I'll just tell people at market, hey man, I'm gonna miss another weekend, but I'm going frog gigging. And I know there's a bunch of people up there, they're gonna be like, you're gonna do what? We're gonna go frog gigging. Get some frogs, make some frog legs, get some frog back, and back strap on a frog. Good meat there too. Hell, the rest of it used for catfish bait or crawdad bait. Put all the excess pieces, your frog, in your container, stick it in a trap. You go stick your trap out in the water for crawfish. Man, you'll have all kinds of them inside that basket. Crawfish are good too. Like I said, there ain't much I won't eat. Somebody put on a post on Facebook in one of the, I think it was Meade County or Breckenridge County page, and said something like, how do I go about trapping a groundhog? And of course, I didn't say how to trap it. I just said, well, you soak it in buttermilk overnight, and then after you soak it in buttermilk, you rinse it off a little bit, put some seasoning to it, stick it in a crock pot. And I got about 10 or so people that were like, ew, that's nasty. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. Groundhog is good if you cook it right. Just like possum. Possum's good. But there's a lot of things just like groundhog. You got to do certain things. I've eaten a raccoon. You know, I've had rattlesnake. Kind of chewy like a bicycle tube tire or inner tube. Oh hell, I've had gator. I mean, I'll eat it. If it's made in a restaurant, gator's great. It's really tricky to cook gator on a smoker grill. I even wrapped it with bacon and everything. I just didn't like it. Had shark down in Louisiana. Had gator in Louisiana. Had snake in Texas, rattlesnake in Texas. That a big old rattlesnake roundup down, I think it was El Paso, Texas, back in 96, 95, 96, around there. One of my best things is up in Maryland, going to I-95. I can't remember the name of the place, but it's an iconic place. It's right there next to the interstate. I want to say it's like Joe's Crab Shack or something like that. Like the original Joe's Crab Shack, not this crap you see these restaurants was. Like the chain line things, nothing like that. But I got a hush puppy up there one time. Let me put my cup down, hope I don't spill my ice. I got a hush puppy, single hush puppy, same size of a softball. I got 4 of them. A box of clams and some crisp on the side. and it was like 15 bucks. I ate a single hush puppy, and I was so stuffed off a single hush puppy. I had like 3 hush puppies and a box of clams to eat on the rest of the week. It was great. I loved it. Of course, you get that 72-ounce steak from the Big Texan. I didn't do the challenge. I just bought the steak and I had it in a to-go container. And hell, I ate steak for 5 days. It was great. That's the joy about being a truck driver, man. You get to try all these different things of foods and delicacies and delights and everything else all across the U.S. Buddy of mine wants to do like a hot shot kind of thing, and I told him, I said, hell, it's just like driving over the road, except the only difference is your cargo system's a little different and your size of the truck's different. And I told him when I used to drive over the road, I was doing 15 to 18 hours a day. And he's like, man, I couldn't do that. And after a while, you get used to it. It's no big deal. It's like anything else. You know, you got to gradually work your way into it. I said, hell, at that time, I was running anywhere between 6,000 and 8,000 miles a week as a solo driver. And there was a lot of lying on my logbook. Lots of lying on my logbook. But, you know, hell, I made great money. You know, I got to see the country before 9/11. I got to go to national parks, cross the Hoover Dam, all kinds of places. You know, at that time, tractor trailers, they didn't give a shit as long as you didn't tear up something or wreck in the process of getting into it. They welcomed you. Nowadays, it's like you go in there in a box truck or anything of that size or bigger, they frown, no, you can't come here no more. So it kind of sucks for the truck drivers nowadays. You're just stuck in truck stops and bumping docks. That's about it, really. Oh, I used to carry a fishing pole with me too. It was great. I go out there in Colorado and I fish the rivers and stuff alongside the interstate. Some places they had them. I fished in the Colorado River. Wonderful fish in that river. Of course, it wasn't in Colorado, you know, but you know, it is what it is. There's all kinds of places I fished out west. I loved it. If I would have known about how you could get gold out of the creeks and everything else a long time ago, my ass would have carried a gold pan in my semi a long time ago. But I mean, I knew it was out there, but I didn't know how available it was. You know, you're not gonna get like nuggets the size of my thumb. You'll get like little flakes and little specks of it, stuff like that. But my mentality of it is, I wouldn't care if I got little flakes and little specks of it, because after a certain amount of time, it all adds up. And, you know, that's like, you know, even with some of the stuff I have around the house, scrap-wise, you know, I ain't got much compared to a lot of people. I ain't got much at all. I just save it and I keep adding to, like especially my copper pile. I get a piece of copper, throw it inside the thing. Get another piece of copper, throw it inside the thing. You know, eventually it's gonna I'll get enough where I can make a good amount of money off of it. And, you know, it is what it is. I recycle 95 to 98% of everything that I get. And when it comes to paper, if I don't recycle paper, I just throw it in my big old burn barrel and I burn it with all my wood pieces and everything else, and I'll use the ash to sprinkle around the yard at certain places, or I'll sprinkle it in my garden beds, or I'll sprinkle it, you know, amongst certain places that, you know, might need a little bit more umph in fertilizer form, and let it grow, you know. It is what it is. But when it comes to metal, I recycle every piece of metal that I come across, whether it be aluminum, white shred, tin, steel, iron, you know, I recycle it. Nothing from my house goes to the landfill, other than, you know, maybe some shitty toilet paper and some plastic, which I wish they would have put the plastic recycling bins back up around town, because I would not mind driving 10 minutes into town to drop off plastic bottles in a recycling bin versus having to throw it in the trash can. Plastic is going to be the downfall of this nation. Actually, it's going to be the downfall of the world, truthfully. I wish they just quit using plastic altogether. Of course, I know there's benefactors in using plastic, but think of how much plastic there is in the world. It's crazy. And then on top of it, of course, they can say, oh, it's food grade safe. It's made from a chemical still. You know, glass, you know, it's made from sand and silica. Well, silica is a form of sand, but, you know, same difference. You know, I'd much rather spend more money on some glass than I would buying a big old thing of plastic to have to throw in the landfill. That's how I am. Glass gets recycled as well. Unless I find another use for it. There's a lot of times I get certain jars that I get to my mom's, which when she makes jelly in the fall, she puts them in recyclable jars that I've had previously. So that way she doesn't have to go out and buy canning jars to give away to people, because like she said, she never gets her jars back. So, you know, I'll save an old pickle jar or so, build them up, take them to her, and that's what she'll use to make her jelly with. And, you know, they get a jelly jar, an old jelly jar full of jelly versus a mason jar full of jelly. But it is what it is. I'm going to try and get this video posted on the computer tonight. Don't know how fortunate or how lucky I'm going to be, because this new system of Windows, it's screwed up. Everything's jacked up on it, so I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I gotta search through different file segments and forms and format drives and everything else. Nothing goes in place where it's supposed to go to, and it's really pissing me off. But, you know, hopefully I can get a buddy of mine over here that does computers a lot, and I can have him set it up to where it's supposed to work, not how the guy that reprogrammed the computer and everything has it set up, because it's confusing as hell. It really is. It's enough to make you want to sit there and cuss the whole time you're trying to do it. So, but I guess I need to shut my ass up, and I'll see y'all again soon. I think today's the 10th, or the 11th, 10th. Yeah, 10th. 8 more days and I turn 50. Yay! Not really. Goodbye 40s, hello 50s. I'm getting old, and it sucks. But it is what it is. I'm still on flat earth. I'm not down inside of it yet, so I can't complain. So keep your nose dry and your powder clean, and everything should be okay. Until next time, I'll see you again. If I get this damn thing turned off.